Go here. Huo Huo is finally out, and what a unit she is. She combines the heavy cleansing power of Lynx with the strong out-of-turn healing of Luocha, the strong on-demand healing from Bailu, and some of the battery and damage boosting potential of Ting Yun. She is an awesome sustain that really changes up how you build your teams with this newfound energy. I have an extra video coming out soon for Huo Huo's energy potential with every unit, so like and sub to catch that one as well. This guide, however, will go through her kit and how it works exactly, and make sure to watch that part since some of her kit is very tricky and maybe a bit misleading with the wording. I will then review her Eidolons, discuss her best light cones including her signature and the new free-to-play one, as well as best relics including the new 1.5 ones. Finally, I'll discuss pros and cons, synergies, and team compositions. So let me know if you're pulling and how your pulls went, but anyway, let's begin. Huo Huo is a 5-star wind unit that follows the abundance path, and she is our first of this combo. This path is for all things healing as well as utility, and Huo Huo brings a ton of that. She will give energy, attack percent buffs, cleanse a ton, and offers a lot of out of turn and in turn healing. You want to max out her skill and talent for healing power, but ult as well, of course, for that energy and attack scaling. Basics do not matter. At level 80, she has a rightfully high base HP of 1358, a high base defense of 509, and a weirdly okay base attack of 601, despite having 0 attack scaling. She does have a low base speed of 98, but she has some speed in traces, and finally, she has the highest energy cost as of recording at 140. So let's move on to those abilities. Well, her basic attack, Banner's Stormcaller, is cute but doesn't do anything special and is a standard basic. Her skill, however, is the highest on-demand healing we have yet and is our first blast heal. We have AoE healing ults, bounce skills, but Huo Huo will heal one ally for a large amount as well as cleanse one debuff from the selected target and then heal adjacent targets for a lesser but still very high amount. This skill is about twice as strong as Bailu's skill heal including the bounces and doesn't have the bounce RNG. It is our highest source of on-demand healing from a skill in the game by far. To abuse this, ideally you position Huo Huo on the side of your team so the blast will hit all 3 of your squisher teammates fully. Having your highest HP member, like a blade, in the 3rd slot is nice too. Her talent is next up, being activated from her skill. After using her skill, Huo Huo will gain this Divine Provision buff for 2 turns, which will decrease at the start of her turns. This buff does 3 things. When an ally including Huo Huo starts their turn or uses an ultimate, Huo Huo will heal them for a small amount. Then at the same time, if any ally is under 50% HP, they get healed for the same amount. This can heal an ally twice if that ally is still under 50% HP after the initial heal too. So you can use this to on-demand and out-of-turn cleanse debuffs, which is incredible. You of course can't use it to remove CC debuffs if it's not your turn though, since you won't be able to use your ultimate. It also will activate at the start of the turn, meaning any scary dots will be removed before you take damage, and any freeze debuffs will be gone before you know it. It's once at a time though, so multiple debuffs won't be magically removed, but 2 debuffs can be removed if you take action and then ult. It's still great though, and 6 cleanses on a skill use is awesome. Her ultimate, Tail Spiritual Domination, has a cost of 140 energy, and will regenerate a percentage of all allies' energy except for Huo Huo herself, and then give them all an attack percent buff for 2 turns. The attack percent buff is a nice bonus, but this energy gain is the main bit we care for. At 20% at level 10, you're looking at 18 energy for 90 cost units to 28 energy for 140 cost units, which we are getting a lot of. This energy won't benefit from energy recharge though. Unfortunately, her own ult costs a lot, so you can't get this every DPS rotation in most situations. The thing you can do though is run her faster than your DPS, so if you run a 4-turn rotation Huo Huo and your DPS runs a 4-turn rotation too, you'll let them ult before they take their action and thus shorten that rotation, allowing them to ultimate into skill. She doesn't have to be up for every rotation as she can have an effect on the next one anyway. Units that rotate at 2 to 3 turns get a boost from her every 2 rotations, 4-turn rotations get a boost every 2 out of 3 rotations, and 5-turn rotations get a boost every rotation. Finally, her technique, Fiend Impeachment of Evil, will cause enemies to run away from a little girl, and then when entering battle, you will have a 100% base chance to reduce all enemies' attack by 25% for 2 turns. It's not too impressive, but really nice to help that first turn of damage. As for Traces, her first Ascension passive will make her gain a stack of Divine Provision for 1 turn at the start of the battle, meaning she gets some healing without any technique usage. If she's the first though, this buff is gone immediately. Her second passive gives her a 35% crowd control debuff resistance buff, which makes 100% chance CC debuffs from enemies end up having around an 86% chance. This combined with F-res stats though is pretty nice. Her final one grants her 1 energy when her talent heals allies. This works if it heals an ally under 50% HP and works on her own turns, and works if you overheal allies too. So every ally turn and ultimate with her buff up now provides 1 energy, which is very needed for her rotations. She gains 3 amazing trace bonuses too in HP percent, speed, and effect resistance, which all maximize her power. Now let's check out her Eidolons. Her E1 is a very nice starter Eidolon, making her gain 3 turns of Divine Provision, allowing for a much safer team whilst keeping up that skill point generation. You won't always have her talent up if you want to be skill point positive, so this is a great Eidolon for that extra turn if you want that comfort. A practically permanent 12% speed buff on top is immense too. Her E2 gives her 2 revive charges per battle, restoring the revived ally's HP to half health. It will reduce a turn of her talent's duration in return. Her E4 will increase in power the lower the HP of the ally, up to 80% at max. Great for more healing, but nothing to go for. Her final Eidolon will increase the damage percent of a healed ally by 50% for 2 turns, which is practically a permanent 50% damage buff since her talent will be activating every ally turn start. Great finish for an Abundance unit. Now let's discuss Relics. She's Abundance, so it's simple as usual. Pass by 4 piece for that skill point, Hackerspace for the speed. It's up to preference and team needs. For maximum heals, you want to go 2 Hacker, 2 Passerby for a combination of speed and healing bonus. For plain ornaments, you'll go for Broken Kill, Fleet of the Ageless, or Penacony depending on your team and needs. Kill provides effect resistance for more debuff resistance. Fleet a bit of tankiness and healing, and Penacony's energy percent isn't needed apart from a couple instances, and the damage would only benefit a Blade, Danhang, or Sampo team. For main stats, you want a healing body, speed boots, HP percent orb, and energy rope. There are some ways you can avoid energy rope, but even with her signature you'll definitely want it, and it's just super comfy. HP percent boots aren't great since you do want to be up a lot for that ultimate cycling. Just like Luocha doesn't go 0 speed to abuse full duration, Huo Huo does not do the same either, and her ultimate cycling is very important for that team energy gain. For ideal stat goals, you want to hit at least 6k HP, 50% effect resistance, and a decent amount of speed. She can't abuse the multiplication Light Cone due to needing to use skill for sustain, so we won't go hypersonic Huo Huo like we could with a Bailu. You can still go high speed if you want to. For Light Cones, you have the usual Time Waits for No One as a great healing stat stick, as well as perfect timing for a comfy high effect resistance build. You also have post-op Conversation to replicate her signature's energy regeneration rate. Let's now talk about the 2 new Light Cones she can use though. So her signature Light Cone, Night of Fright. It will first increase energy regeneration by 12%. This energy percent comes into play sometimes, but isn't necessarily needed, and post-op S4 has the same amount of energy. Then when any ally uses their ultimate, the wearer will restore 10% of the lowest ally's max HP. This is pretty cool and synergistic, meaning with her talent up, an ultimate will heal the user that ulted, the lowest HP ally, and then any more allies that are under 50% max HP. Lots of out of turn heals. Finally, this Light Cone grants a stackable attack percent boost to an ally every time the wearer heals that ally, up to 5 stacks for 2 turns. It is pretty negligible and just a small bonus. An 11.5% attack buff at 5 stacks, you have less than a 3% DPS gain. Also, it won't have the most heals because of lack of healing stats and is just for bonus utility. I'd say it's definitely a luxury pull. Hey, over here is the event Light Cone of 1.5. It has simple but nice boosts of 12% max HP and 28% outgoing healing boost upon using the skill. It has pretty much the same healing amount as Time Waits for No One on her, so it's a great free-to-play option for Huo Huo. As for rotations, you might think to run skill point neutral for permanent talent uptime, but being skill point neutral is very bad on Abundance units in almost every team. Abundance units are there to sustain, provide utility, and generate skill points. So Huo Huo in 99% of cases will want to be skill point positive. which has 4-turn rotation with her signature or S4 post-op and an energy rope. You want to go skill into 2 basics, which means 1 turn of downtime on your talent. If you don't have her signature or post-op S4, you can go for 4 turns with an energy rope, but you'll need more talent activations, which should be fine. And your second rotation out of 3 rotations might end up being 5 turns long with an extra basic, due to you not using 2 skills to conserve those skill points. Finally, if you have her E1, you can go skill and 3 basic, and with 15 talent activations, which is pretty simple at E1, you'll have a 4-turn rotation with minimal healing downtime. So if you want that 4-turn rotation, you'd shell out for the signature or the E1. I prefer the E1 as it's not replaceable unlike her signature, and that speed buff is pretty nice too, and isn't removed on ally turns unlike the Hackerspace 4-piece. Now before we talk about synergies and teams, let's discuss her pros and cons. First, her sustain is immense. Her on-demand healing is crazy and can fully heal your whole team after a large AoE attack. Next, her out-of-turn healing is good too. It's not as strong as Luocha's of course, but it's at the trade-off of not requiring attacks, and even being able to be activated multiple times per ally. Cleansing power is the best so far too. We have 6 debuff cleanses per skill use, and you have some control in who gets cleansed. The way it works is very beneficial versus dots too, and she isn't limited to CC debuffs. Next, the energy from her ultimate is amazing, allowing for extra ults for the whole team over the duration of a fight. Allowing multiple allies to suddenly get their ult a turn earlier is pretty awesome for fights. Finally, the attack percent boost is decent too, allowing for nearly every DPS to get a nice bonus on top of extra ultimates. For cons, we have that higher energy cost. You won't get her ult up every DPS rotation in most cases, so you won't be able to plan her ult around your DPS rotations. This is doubled if you use Tingyun too, so your DPS's rotation will be dropping a lot with Tingyun. You also have skill point usage. Bailu doesn't need skill point usage at maximum investment. Luocha doesn't need to use skill points at all. She needs skills to sustain as it activates her emergency heals, and she has no automatic skill usage. She won't be fully skill point positive, which can hurt in some teams. You also have 120 ult costs being a bit annoying. At 3 skills and an ultimate, you're hitting 95 energy, which Huo Huo would bring to 119. So you need these units to get a hit or a kill. Unironically, E3 Huo Huo fixes this. You then have her lack of reactive emergency heals. Yes, you can use an ult, but you don't want to always use ults whenever, rather saving them for certain burst turns. Bailu heals off an enemy hit, and Luocha has 2 emergency heal sources. I will say though after these cons that her skill point usage will probably be overstated by a large majority of players and videos, and this next point won't be obvious to a lot of people. Her skill point usage actually isn't that bad, especially considering a skill plus 2 basic repeat rotation. And that's not just because she's doing 2 basics. Skill point generation isn't just about using skills or basics, it's about preventing the use of those skill points. Let's take Bronya as an example. She can prevent the need to use skill points if you use a basic into a skill on your DPS since she gives you another turn. Huo Huo can do the same with her energy. Even if she doesn't have it up every rotation of your allies, having it up 2 out of 3 of their rotations, or even every other rotation, can do some insane stuff for your skill point economy. For your DPS, they'll want to use skill points, so we won't mind them. But what about a dot sub DPS or harmony unit that wants to use a skill to get to their ultimate? You giving them energy can compensate for a whole turn, or that energy can be used to replace a skill with a basic. You basically transform their next skill into a basic, and if you don't need that skill, you are gaining free skill points from Huo Huo's ultimate. And you can do this on multiple allies every ultimate. So let's talk about synergies and teams. I will have a full video soon on her energy gains for every unit pretty much, so here we will just discuss some. First you have Tingyun. The duo battery power is great, and Huo Huo being a sustain on top means you can have 3 slots buffing a hypercarry, with 2 gifting energy every 3 to 4 turns. This will feed tons of energy into DPS, and their buffs are very good too. Tingyun's much better of course. Huo Huo also feeds energy into Tingyun for a loop of energy gains for the whole team. It's a very cool duo of Foxians. Then you have a few DPS I like with Huo Huo and Tingyun. Jingliu comes to mind first. Her enhanced state is where she does over 90% of her damage. Staying in it is only possible through ultimates. With a Tingyun on a 3-turn rotation and a Huo Huo, you can double extend Jingliu's spectral state every time you enter it, for 4 enhanced skills every single time. With tons of kills and a Tingyun E6, you probably can even hit 5. Jingyuan adores Tingyun in the team and also wants his ultimate for his high stacking Lightning Lords. With the new follow-up set and a Huohuo on board, Jingyuan is eating good this patch. Jingyuan can ult in 2 skills with Tingyun and Huohuo's ultimate. One problem with Jingyuan is if he goes under 50% HP with the CC attack, Luocha will cleanse that CC and Lightning Lord still goes. If Fushuan skills, Jingyuan will not be CC'd. Huohuo unfortunately cannot remove that CC outside of her turn unless she takes a turn due to how this talent cleanse works. Finally, Kafka teams have a nice use for Huohuo. Her energy can reduce the energy cost of Kafka herself and either her dot teammates that provide damage and vulnerabilities through their ults, or for the harmony units that are buffing her up in a hypercarry team. The attack percent buff is also more useful for Kafka and her teammates over the crit from Fushuan, provided you're not a Kritka enjoyer. There's also the case for Argenti when he's out. He's known to have 2 ultimate states, and the energy from Huohuo should be dependent on his second ult's energy cost. Imagine no longer needing Eidolons for units, but instead needing a whole extra unit. Probably not the case, but they'll definitely be a great pair. So stay tuned for the next video that will go in depth on her teammates and her ultimate's energy for many more units, and I hope this main guide helped you. If it did, let me know with a like and sub, and let me know too how your pulls went if you did any. Thanks to my awesome YouTube members, thanks for watching, and have a good day.